All right, we are live with another episode of the Evolution Franchising Podcast. My name is Mike Welch. I'm the founder of Evolution Franchising. We help people find and evaluate great franchise opportunities, and our guest today is one of my best friends in franchising and one of my best friends in life, in real life. As we always say, the franchise family and then the real life family. And Jen Olson, you are absolutely both, and it's an honor to have you here. You're one of the best in the business, one of the most widely respected franchise development people on the planet. So thank you so much for taking what I know is a precious 30 minutes of your life to spend it with us today.
I am so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. And wow, you make me sound like I'm a queen superstar. So I feel very special. Thank you for making me feel that way.
You should feel that way because you are. I always tell people there are three franchise development people that I've ever met that far eclipse everybody else. I won't say who the other two are. You're one of the three. So you're a special talent.
Thanks. You're pretty special.
So thank you. So why don't you share a little bit about yourself and your background, Jen?
Yeah, so I've been in franchising for, gosh, over 20 years now, always on the development side. And even before that, I grew up in franchising. So I'm one of the fortunate few of people that were exposed to this great industry when I was just a baby. And my parents were involved and never forced me to get into it, which I think was smart at the hindsight of looking back now, but just allowed me to be around and absorb and learn what the beautiful nature of franchising means and how it represents all these great opportunities. And lo and behold, I got involved in it when I got out of college. So never looked back, but been doing this, like I said, over 20 years, helping franchise companies, small, big, in between in size, to help grow and mature and grow their brands around the nation. So it's just been so fun and couldn't imagine doing anything else, quite frankly.
So that calls into question my strategy because my strategy has been always to the kids, listen, just get through college and then come do something with me. We'll buy a franchise together, or I'll invest, or you can. So we'll see if it works. But it obviously worked out for you and your family. So, well, listen, we're here to talk today. You're the vice president of franchise development for Dermani MedSpa. So we're going to chop it up a little bit about Dermani today. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Dermani, maybe the precipice of the brand and what's going on today?
Yeah, so this is a great brand, one of the most fun ones I've ever worked with, and I've again worked with a lot. And for me, it's really important to work with brands that I feel very connected to and can be authentically behind and really feel like, hey, this is a viable business that people can do successfully in their markets. But Dermani is really, the only evidence-based aesthetic service company that is really providing a great customer value along with stellar customer service. And that just means we want to be recognized as the very best in the industry. Today, right now in med spa, like there's not any big boy players out there. It's a lot of fragmentation that exists, a lot of mom and pops that are out there, which means that these are local estheticians or nurse injectors that are trying to kind of make a little business of it, but it's really not working that way. They're just buying themselves a job and they just kind of cobble something together to make it go day in, day out. Whereas Dermani, we're turning into a true business model. We're turning it into a marketing engine and a lead gen and a technology system and all these things that doesn't really exist in this space today, as well as the customer value side of things. That's to me the other really big important distinction with Dermani is that these med spas historically they don't offer any value proposition to the customer. It's almost like the opposite. They have this whole smoke and mirror approach about what they charge. They don't put any pricing out there. It's like, how much can I charge you as a customer and still get away with it at the end of the day, which is really frustrating as a consumer. So Dermani really is changing that up. We want to make this available like beauty to the masses. We want it not just to be for the super elite and the 1% of people that can have unlimited disposable income to spend on the services. We want it to be for everybody because everybody wants to look good and feel good about themselves. And so it's really about generating this everyday value pricing strategy, which allows us to charge less to our customers so that they can come in and receive these great services and look and feel better about themselves. So that to us is, again, a big game changer that doesn't really exist. If you can go and pay a third of what you would pay somewhere else to get these same services and same great results, then all day long, people want to, take advantage of those kinds of opportunities for their pocketbook alone. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I think so. When you first told me that you were going to get involved with this brand, I mean, you've been with some mega brands over the course of your career and helped them really, really turn into those mega brands in some cases. When you told me this, the first thing that came to my mind, Jen, was like the Kardashians, and this is like for the elite people, and they sneak in and they sneak out, and nobody, there's this like there was this very kind of elitist, secretive image that came to my mind, and by the time we were done, I had, I think you can, I think you told me this is med spa for the masses, right? It's designed not to be a place that you sneak in and out of the back door. And so is that really one of the main things that you guys are changing in the industry? Because it seems like med spa is really, as an industry, starting to come to some prominence in the franchise world.
Right, right. The way I liken it is if you can imagine like what Massage Envy did for the massage world. They made it very affordable, very everyday, very like everyone come get a massage. Everyone deserves to get a massage kind of a thing, right? And that's exactly what Dermani is doing for med spa. It's about making it affordable, accessible, everyday, etc. Right? So that's a good comparison I would draw on
That's
that.
perfect. Taking some of the stigma out of it, right?
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
the industry is just insane. Because like you're saying, like back in the day, like this, people didn't talk about it. Like it was very taboo. It was very like, ooh, you get work done and what do you do? And do you do it? Like people look down at you almost if you do that stuff. Whereas today, no more. It's so much more widespread and accepted. And it's not like, do you get stuff done or do you get Botox or whatever? It's where do you get it and where do you go? Because it looks great and I want to go there too at the end of the day, right? So it's really shifted this whole consumer mindset and shift in that dynamic way. And I think part of that reasoning too, Mike, is because there's a lot greater technology and equipment and service options, whereas it's not, evasive. It's not requiring you to go into the knife. It's not having big, long recovery time and anesthesia. It's all the opposite of that, of which makes it, again, very much more acceptable and sought after from a consumer standpoint as well. So shifting away from the plastic surgeon and those kinds of options that were really all that used to be existing, whereas now, again, really everybody does the med spa type activities instead.
So you know me well enough to know that I'm in over my head here, but can you talk about just maybe even bullet point some of the services that you guys provide at Dermani? Because I couldn't tell you the difference between what requires going to sleep and what doesn't require going to sleep.
Fair enough. And I'm kind of glad you don't know, maybe in a way, because if you did, you might not, be a typical guy, because guys don't typically do this. Although I'll tell you, we are seeing more and more guys coming into our clinics too. I'd say we're maybe pushing 20-25% males compared to
I
the.
could use some, like, maybe a little something here, Jen. I don't know.
See, I mean, wouldn't hurt for all of us, but no, it's really simple. We do 3 categories of service. We do skin rejuvenation, which are going to be things like your chemical peels, your microneedling, your skin pens, things like that, which are all just targeted on keeping your skin looking great. We do laser hair removal, and then we also do the Botox filler work. So we chose these revenue or these categories because they are the biggest revenue drivers in this space. And we like to stick to the evidence-based, science-based activity. Like I said, we don't really want to get stuck in the fads and trends of all the things that can come and go really quick, because that does tend to happen in this industry sometimes. We like to know that what we're doing works and that the customers are going to be happy as a result of it.
Nice. Now, this question could have two different ways that we can take it. So my question is, what are you guys doing to innovate in the space as a sort of early franchisor that's really bringing this thing to market? And that could be from a science slash services standpoint. It also could be, and I think the way that I really mean it is from a franchise support standpoint. So marketing, customer acquisition, you're competing against, I think, some pretty disjointed providers in the field. So, what are you guys doing? I know you guys are going to be staying on top of all of the medical stuff and the services. What are you guys doing to make the franchisees stand out in a space that is really probably pretty? I don't want to say mom and pop, but maybe that's the right way to say it.
Yeah, no, it is. It's very mom and pop and again, very fragmented, but probably at the top of that list, I would say is the value pricing. So because we're exclusive supplier status with some of the biggest producers of our consumables and our equipment. So like example, Allergan, which is the manufacturer of the Botox filler product that we use. We are in the top 20 out of 50,000 providers with Allergan, this manufacturer. So that unlocks the very best discounts on the cost of those consumables, which we then pass on to our franchisees, and then the franchisees pass on to the consumer. So everybody gets to win at the end of the day. That also ties into other things we do in the boutiques, as well as our equipment that we buy, the medical grade equipment. So big advantages for a Dermani owner to come in and have those things that if they had to buy them elsewhere, literally would pay, twice, if not more, in the cost of those goods sold, right? So
Yeah.
that's a big one. We also have a lot of the great systems in terms of the training. We have a training center that Dermani developed. It's not only over the years been developed for Dermani, but also just for people in the industry, people like in the med spa space and our competitors even that have sought out our training center programs to learn about the kinds of things we're doing. So that's another huge thing that our owners get to tap into, and their staff that bring in, of course, can use those training programs. And then all the marketing and the technology systems, as you said, so important to create awareness, drive trial. A lot in this space is going to be your digital social activity, because that's where a lot of our customers are. They're on their phone at night watching TV, and they're Googling, where can I get a chemical peel? Or they're, on their Facebook feed, and they see this great before and after picture after their chemical peel. And they're like, wow, I want to get that. That looks really amazing. I think I need that. So we put a lot of thought into that whole program. So it's really a turnkey system. The franchisee doesn't have to do any of that. It's all done on their behalf. They're really more in their community as an owner, just trying to be a brand ambassador, of their business, so that they can help from that side of the ledger to create awareness and brand awareness within their market as well.
Let's maybe dive down that rabbit hole a little bit, Jen. So you guys are doing the marketing for the franchisees. They're out in the community singing the song, telling the story. What else do they have to do? What's their role? Is this a manager run business, or is the owner in khakis and a Dermani golf shirt, in the shop on a regular basis?
Yeah. And that's a great question. It is what we call a semi-absentee or a manager-run business model. So really the role of the owner is to hire the people to provide the services, which would be your nurse practitioner, your esthetician, and the medical director. And I'll tell you what, like the medical industry as a whole, and these professionals in the last years, especially since COVID, they are like super burnt out in their traditional settings, right? They're in acute care, urgent care settings. They're in these stressful environments. They're long shifts, 10, 12 hours on their feet, and they're like over it. So they work at a place like Dermani, they can work less hours, make more money, and be in an environment where people are happy and they want to be there and they feel good and all that kind of stuff. It's like all day long, right? So
We all know somebody who's in the medical field that is burnt, just absolutely burnt to a crisp. And so this is a bit more of a laid back, I guess, a luxurious place for them to work compared to an ER room, right?
all day long. So we're seeing droves of people coming into our space. We really aren't seeing the staffing challenges that a lot of other business have been seeing since COVID.
Huge. That's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah. Tell me about it. I mean, it's a big, powerful thing. But going back
That
to
alone, sorry, Jen, that alone makes this something for people to be thinking about.
Right. Because as a business owner, you have to, well, I shouldn't say you have to, but if you want it to be a true business where you're not owner operator and kind of buying yourself a job, then you do need to have employees, right? And so that is the main role of the owner to bring those people in, oversee them on a structural basis, create that culture within the business, and then work on the business in terms of the metrics, the financial forecasting, the metric tracking, all that kind of stuff is important for our owners too, so that they can grow and scale the business. And this is a membership model where it creates this great recurring revenue stream, which again, as a business owner is great because you have
Nice.
consistency and predictability in your cash flow as a business owner then. So we do have this great membership program, which is, I think, pretty unique too, where they have 6-month membership terms and they start at like $30 a month, but they can go up from there based on the kinds of services that the customer might want to have. But we see a lot of stickiness factor happen because once
Yes.
they in over those couple months and they see these great results from the stuff they're getting done, they're like, wow, what else do you guys do? I want to come in and do more. Or what else can I do? Right. So
This is not like it's you and I have both been affiliated with some fitness franchises in the past, so I'm not that I love them, nothing against them. But if somebody joins a gym and signs up for a 6 month membership, the likelihood that they are going to sign up for that membership again in 6 months is virtually non-existent because they have to go there and put in the work. I'm envisioning this scenario where I love the membership model in this. I had no idea that this was membership based. So my results are immediate. I love it every time I leave there. And at the end of my 6 months, the question is, do I want to do it again with immediate, tangible results that people comment on a regular basis? I think that that is really sticky.
Very sticky, very sticky. Over 90% of our customers are members at Dermani. So that's like, to me, the biggest proof in the pudding is that once they come in, they stay in.
Love that.
Yeah.
That's you're just hitting these are big fat fastballs for you then. These are I mean that's all the right these are the right answers, Jen. Labor is relatively easy to find and it's a 90% of our clients are members. How many territories do you guys have already sold in the country?
Yeah, so we are sitting at 20 territories. We have the first 12 or 13 now, I guess, that are open and operating, and the others are in development, soon to be opening, and then more on the way. So it's exciting. It's been a really great growth and interest with people and candidates that are looking at the business for ownership opportunities. It's just something that people, I think, really get it. It's not a difficult one to understand by any means.
And I know you're busy on the back end, which means Dermanis are going to be popping up everywhere in the months and years to come. So, one of the things that some people don't realize is that once you're a name brand, a household name brand, and there's a Dermani, in multiple Dermanis in their city, they can't get one anymore. So, now is the time to be taking a look at this opportunity if it's the right kind of thing for them. So, it's a manager run probably multi-territory, multi-unit concept with high-end skilled labor and a recurring revenue membership model. Those are all pretty neat characteristics. How does it weather recession? How is it done in recessionary times?
Right, right. Well, the nice thing, tying back to the value pricing strategy we use, is that, again, people aren't going to stop doing things necessarily they need or want to do to look good and feel good. I think our world is more mindful and aware of that than ever have been before in terms of that self-care activity. But they're going to look for those more affordable options to do the same things, and that's what Dermani is. We're not the high-end shoo place that tries to charge you as much as you can. We're the third the price kind of a place, or half the price kind of place that you can be elsewhere to get the same stuff. So if nothing else, people are going to look for those options in which they can do it still, but be more affordable. And that's going to even drive more people our way, I think, if we're going to go into this recessionary period.
So far it's been all sunshine. But you and I both know there's no such thing as a perfect business. And I bring this up on every podcast. People who watch it regularly are probably sick of hearing me ask this question, but there's challenges. In being a business owner is complex and it's hard sometimes. And if it were easy, everybody would do it, but it's not, so they don't. So, in your world, what are some challenges that people need to be able to work through or expect that they're going to have to be able to overcome in order to be successful in this business?
Sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. There's pros and cons with everything in life. I fully agree with you. So it's not all rosy, rosy and anything out there. But yeah, I think the things to be mindful on that side is that, this is, even though it is a semi-absentee business, it doesn't mean that you invest your money, you hire people and you turn your head. I think people sometimes have that preconceived notion of which you can just expect the money to come in without a lot of work. And that's not the reality. It still takes a lot of work, especially early on as you get going in the business, to put the teams in place and the infrastructure, it's all that stuff that it will require more time than it will subsequent to that. So being realistic in that regard, I think, is really important for people to be mindful of as they get into a business like this. Also, the fact that it is a people business, right? It's like you're dealing with people as your customers and people as your staff. And so you really do need to be a strong people person at the end of the day to, I think, really represent the brand well in your community and bring that success. Because if you're not authentically connected to it and vibe with it in that way, then to me, it's a facade, right? And is it going
Right.
to gel with people? Like, no, of course not. It's going to be like platitudes, right? And so, so those are things that I think are, I don't know if they're challenges per se, but for the certain person, it could be a challenge, because if they're not a people person, or if they don't understand that, hey, they got to put this work in and all that kind of stuff, then those are going to be obviously reasons that they might not see the great successes behind Dermani. But to me, those are some of the big ones. The other one is being in the brick and mortar retail business. It does take time to get open and get operating. It's not something where you can open up in your home office garage the next day and start generating revenue. It does take a little time and effort from a planning perspective and ramping perspective and things like that. So that's, again, not a right or a wrong, but just a thing to be mindful of, I think, for people as they start into a business endeavor.
Definitely. So, without going into the numbers, because we got to be careful. How are the franchisees doing?
They're doing really great. I mean, they are still degrees of new in the franchise ownership locations, but they are outperforming what corporate did in their early on years.
That's
So
big.
that's a big thing. We're excited to see that, of course, but they're ecstatic. I mean, every single franchisee in the business today has positive things to say about their experiences, their support from the home office, their trends, their marketing. I mean, of course, again, it's not all rosy. Of course, there's things that they, I'm sure, complain about every now and then, but I think the question of would you do it over again? I think all of them would say yes, 100%.
So that it's really interesting to note that franchising is all about replication, right? For those who are new to the industry. And so companies become franchise organizations because they've created some successful recipe. And so I always love to hear that the franchisees early on are eclipsing what the franchisor did, right? Because they franchised the model because it was a successful business model, and it's attracting people because it was a successful business model. So to hear that the franchisees are already outpacing what the corporation did before they franchised is really a good sign, I think. So what I know you guys are really, really particular about who you partner with. I've seen you personally turn down several franchise candidates because they weren't the right fit. It was the right thing for you to do. Hard in the moment. Sometimes people don't understand why you did them. Maybe the biggest favor anyone could have ever done them, but we want to avoid that. And so, what does a dream candidate look like from your standpoint?
Right. Yeah. So going back to the people orientation, again, I think that's really a big piece of that for us. The interest with health, wellness, self-care, beauty. Again, that means a lot of different things to different people, but I think that's important, again, to really be able to understand this business model and believe in it, again, and really think that you're doing something that's impactful, meaningful, and helping people, again, feel good about themselves within your community. So
So could a
um,
hard charging driver, like I'm using myself as an example, who would likely never use the service, but really understands it and believes in the value proposition. I spin a lot of plates at any given time. I've got my hands in several different pots. But with a manager run, knowing, somebody who loves people, who understands business and how to motivate people, could someone like me own a Dermani successfully, or would I be an outlier?
no, I'll give you some examples of some owners. So like one of our franchise owners is a former exec with a pharmaceutical chemical company. Another one is a existing franchise owner with a fitness franchise. So this is a diversification expansion play. We have another owner where he's a real estate attorney, a law attorney for real estate. And then the wife that's going to be running more of the business. She used to be a realtor, but she's a stay-at-home mom now, and she's a user of the services, and she just loves and believes what we're doing in Dermani.
Okay,
So
so it's not nurse practitioners and esthetician. I don't even know what the word is.
we call them Estes for short, so we don't have to tongue tie it.
Okay, so it's not all those people.
No. In fact, the more those people would, if they were involved, like when you have that technical skill, knowledge, etc., then the more they want to do that as a business owner. And then if you're working in the business, it's hard to work on it, right? At the same time.
Right.
So yeah, I don't want to say we don't allow people that have the technical skill to own the business, because we would do an owner operator model if that made sense for somebody, but the lion's share of our owners do not fit that mold.
Got it. All right, perfect. Thanks for clarifying that. So, um, ladies and gentlemen, Jen Olson, and what did you say? Franchise princess, which is exactly what I think you are. You said I made you feel that way. That was my intention. I think you are absolutely amazing, without question. If there were 1,000 franchise people in a room and they said, we're going to do a franchise draft, you'd be taken early in the first round, Jen. So why don't you take us home with any final thoughts or comments or things that you want to make sure that people understand about Dermani or franchising?
Yeah, no, this has been so fun. I just love spending time with you anytime I can, and talking business, talking shop is old hat for us. But no, I think we got a really good comprehensive view. I love that people are out there looking at business ownership and franchising specifically. I think it's one of the best ways to really build something of your own, and not be in that corporate golden handcuff kind of situation that we all find ourselves to be at some point in our lives. So I really encourage people to, look at it and understand it and get educated and ask the questions. And at the end of the day, if you find a franchise, whether it's Dermani or not, and it's a fit, great. Or if not, that's okay too. But I think you should at least give yourself the opportunity to look under the hood, see what it's about, and make a decision from there. And I think it changes people's lives in many ways, more than not, in a good way. And so I just hate when people, are allowing themselves those new opportunities. Sometimes it's scary, right? To look at new things and things you haven't done before. It's hard to get outside of your comfort box in life, right? But that's what it requires sometimes for us to get into bigger and better new chapters in our books of life. So
Yeah. Yes, I didn't mean to interrupt, Jen, but you just hit a nail on the head. It actually just like an auto response. Um, I mean, I've invested in 8 different franchise companies, and every single time I've been scared to death, right? Whether it was a franchise as a franchisee, as a managing equity partner, as an investor, when you stroke those checks,
mhm.
it is nerve-wracking. But one of the things that almost every franchise executive in the country talks about is we don't necessarily care if you buy the franchise or not. We award them anyway. We might not sell you one. And that surprises people, but it's true. I promise. Ask any franchise executive that you bump into. But I think it merits people's time to take a look, right? And I think that even just doing that sometimes is such a paradigm challenge for people that they never even there's nothing that's going to hurt you behind the curtain, right? You just get to look back there and decide if you want to join the circus or not, right?
Jeez, circus. That's a good way to put
Yeah.
it.
Well, Jen, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it today. As always, love seeing you. You're amazing, and I know that this was a precious 30 minutes that we just got. So thank you very much for being with us today.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you as well.
Take care, Jen.
Bye.